This is the Worship Team Training Podcast with your host and training director, Brannon Dempsey. Worship Team Training provides live workshops and online resources to help inspire, create, and transform the leading of worship. Now, here's your host, Brannon Dempsey.
Thanks so much for joining us. How are you guys doing today? Great to see all of you, Periscope, Facebook Live. You guys would, as people are coming in, just go ahead and share this out. Let everybody know what's going on. Just hit the share button if you're watching by Facebook Live, Periscope, and share it out with all your followers, all your friends. If you're listening by the audio broadcast today, thanks so much for joining us on our iTunes channel and Spreaker channel. So welcome back, replay viewers as well. Great to have you guys. We're going to be talking about why choose great songs. How are you choosing great songs in 2017? The why, the what, the how. We're going to cover some of these things. There's a lot more to do that and discussing different kinds of minor topics, but we're going to cover some of the major ones that maybe you've been asking. I know that a lot of you, including myself, we plan worship every week, and it seems like this daunting task is exciting, but yet at the same time, it's a challenge to keep things fresh. And we're going to be talking about the reasons of why we plan songs the way we do, why we do them, why we don't. So what's going on? Wolf, Gordon, Pack, what's going on? We got some great friends coming in on Periscope Live right now. And great to see you guys. And Ben Kun, what's going on? Ben, how you doing, buddy? Johnny, what's going on? Great to see you guys. If you guys would, again, just go ahead and share out the broadcast. Let everybody know what's happening. That is appreciated from all of us. And also you, Facebook Live, what's going on? We're just waiting for some folks to come in right now. But we're going to roll it. So I just asked a question. I was talking about this on Snapchat this morning, not too long ago, probably like an hour ago, I posted this question. And I want to know from you, as I get into the introductory of things, be thinking about this and type in your response in the comment window. What motivates you to choose songs? It's a basic question. What gets you up every day to choose songs? Why do you do it? So, if you're tuning in for the first time, clicking in our link for the broadcast, thanks so much for coming in. My name is Brannon Dempsey of worshipteamtraining.com. And when do we air? Well, guys, brand new news. We are going to be airing now Thursdays, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. So that's Thursdays. And who are these broadcasts for? You're listening by audio, podcast, or video. These are for you, worship leader, pastor, worship musician, singer, audio tech, you name it. If you're involved in worship or you're just a worshiper, hey, this is for you. So we thank you for coming. We try to craft each broadcast and show and article to appeal to everyone, to have a broad range, because there's a lot of people who watch these broadcasts and thank you. You're not on a worship team, but you like to know more about worship, or you wonder what maybe your own worship team does. So we thank you, because we really ask for all churches to be that more involved, so that way they're that more connected with what God is doing through their worship leaders, their worship ministries and volunteers, and most of all, the pastors in the church. So thank you guys for joining us today. What do we do here at worshipteamtraining.com? Glad you asked. Well, we provide 1- and 2-day workshops. We come to your church. We put on a hands-on practical workshop, 1-2-day event just for your worship team. We work in your own environment. We conduct our own consultation with you. It's private. It's customized. You can find more at worshipteamtraining.com/workshops. Be sure to check out our mentoring program as well. And you can go to the mentoring page, and that's worshipteamtraining.com/mentoring. And be sure, I'm going to be putting up the link right now. Don't miss the big news coming up this Monday on our edition of the Monday Digest. That's our weekly newsletter. And you can also catch the book. If you didn't get the free book, hey, well, I'm going to put the link up for you right now. If you're watching by Facebook, if you're watching by Periscope, and you can also get us on Twitter. Basically, you will not miss the news that comes out each week, hitting your inbox every Monday morning, and you get the free ebook, so it can't be better. Be sure to sign up for our exclusive Facebook page. A lot of you guys have joined us already, so thanks for that. This is an exclusive page. It's typically the same thing, but not. as what we do on our main worship team training Facebook page. What's not about it is that I conduct polls and we ask questions that typically we would not on Facebook, but we have dialogues and conversations about what we're doing today involving worship. So be sure to check that out. And I'm putting the link up for you right now as we get this stuff rolling. And so let me ask you so far, how is your 2017 going? I mean, I know we're only just a little bit ways into this year, just by a few days. I know for me, it's been hectic trying to get back to the routine. And man, I watch our boys go through it, and it's more tough on them than it is us. So, all right. So today's post, we're going to be talking today again about what you can do to better choose songs. And so I've selected a few songs, and there's this, let me just say, this broadcast is not a, here's a top 10 songs of what you need to choose. This is more of a, how can you choose out of those top 10 songs that you hear about, that you see about? There's a lot of great material out there each and every week. I mean, I think the church is getting better and better at putting out songs. And so just hands off to you, songwriters, publishers, companies out there putting out the music. Our very own Scott Hussey at guidetracks.co. You can visit him. And there's a lot of great material out there. So what are you doing with all those songs? So let's go ahead and just open that question up right now. If you're watching by Periscope, Facebook Live, Multitask, what's up? Good to see you on Periscope. Kristen, what's up? Crystal Renee, I'm sorry. And I need to get your answer, Crystal, that I asked you yesterday. Facebook Live. I'm putting up the post right now, and if you're listening by this broadcast or you're watching it and you want to follow today's post is picking great songs for 2017. I'm putting that up right now on our Facebook Live page. What's up? Hey, multitasker. Good to see you, man. How you doing today? Good. And we got this also on Twitter. I'm putting this up on Twitter as well. Jason, good to see you, man. Good to see you, bro. Go ahead and share this out with your friends. Let everybody know what is up. Good, man. Glad, Jason. Good job. All right, good. So let's get right to it, shall we? As I'm just kind of reading through some of the feeds coming in of you folks. Thanks so much for joining us. If you're coming into the broadcast right now on Brandon Dempsey, worshipteamtraining.com, thanks so much for joining us today. Let's get right to it. Let us talk about, why do we choose songs? I asked you that question at the top of this broadcast. I asked the question, what motivates you to pick songs? Let me just ask you, is it because your pastor's chasing you every week, or maybe the other way around? You're chasing your pastor because he hadn't gotten his sermon to you, her sermon to you yet. Could it be maybe somebody on your team? Could be somebody in the church. It could be something that maybe you heard a great song on the internet last week or during Christmas, and you thought, man, this would be so perfect for our church to do. So what motivates you to pick songs? I think it's a great question because, again, choosing songs can be both exciting and daunting at the same time. And I'm gonna answer this question later on about who are you choosing it for. All right, so Taco Wagon, what's up? I love that name. He says, I typically choose songs that are relevant to where our church is heading as a whole. Yes, awesome. Thanks for that. Taco Wagon 84, I love it. Thanks so much for that, Periscope. Yeah, so I agree. It's knowing where your church is at. And if you don't know where your church is going, then you're probably, Ben, what's up, brother? If you're not following, not walking in the midst of where your church is, then you're missing out huge on the songs that you can pick. I know that coming across my computer screen, I see new songs every day. When I look on guidetracks.co, Scott Hussey, he's always pumping out the best stuff. And every time I see a new song, it's just kind of like, wow, this is great. Oh man, I gotta have this, I gotta have that. But there are certain elements, isn't there, into why we pick songs. When we look at our church, when we look at our team, when, as Ben just mentioned about knowing where the church is heading, and that's so true. That's a great word, Ben. Thanks for that. Facebook Live, talk to us. Let us know what's up. Also, you guys listening to us on the live audio podcast, please do the same. Let's face it. Your congregation is rushing to church each week. Okay, the reality is this. There's so many songs to choose from, and we know there's so little time to do it. So how do you make the most of it? You know, I mean, don't let this be like the punch list every week where you pick your 5, 7 songs. You may be saying, wow, we only sing 3 songs in our church, or we sing 12. Don't go through the week or through the month planning where you're just slotting songs. I mean, put some more thought, prayer behind it. And I know a lot of you do. So for those of you who do that, this will be another great way of refiring your engines for 2017. Those of maybe you hadn't thought about some of these things. We're hoping that today it gives you some more ideas and some more inspiration. So what's up, Jahab? Good to see you. Hope I got that right, Jahab Music. And many others following us on Periscope right now. Thanks for that. I'm Brandon Dempsey, worshipteamtraining.com. All right, so asking the question, what motivates you to choose songs? All right, so people are trying to get there on time to church. Your job as a worship facilitator, if you will, worship leader, is to pick great songs to help the church focus on God. I mean, there's nothing more, nothing less than that, I think. And picking great songs, this is where it all begins. So let's jump right into it. There's so many out there. Don't just settle for the ones that sound great, but be selective when you choose good songs. I mean, I like to peruse the CCLI. It doesn't really give you a good relevant of what's out for the last week, month, or 2 months. I mean, they track songs over 6 months to a year and then some. But if you go to other great music sites, again, guidetracks.co, you're going to find a lot of new, fresh material coming out. But I know that even if I hear a great song, it may not be ready and right for the team, number one. It may not be ready and right for the congregation. I've been asked several times recently, how many songs do you choose that are new for a given week or a given month? Every church is different. One of the churches that I served at, they wanted a new song every week, and we did that new song as the intro to the service, not necessarily a part of like in the middle of the service, but they wanted something new, and we did as an opener, and that was great. The only I would say the downside of that is not everyone's going to remember it the following week. As far as if you keep doing new songs 1 week after the next, if it's 1-2 new songs, it is a lot to keep up for your typical congregation member. Don't believe me? Hey, all you need to do is ask anybody this coming Sunday. I dare you to ask somebody this Sunday, hey, what was the first song that we opened up with last Sunday? Or, hey, the new Chris Tomlin song, can you sing it? I mean, they're going to look at you like deer in the headlights. So that just goes to show you, it doesn't mean that they're not paying attention. It just means that we, worship leader, musician, singer, we're music people. Not even your pastor knows the number of tunes that you may know, and maybe they do. I know a lot of pastors that are musicians, and they are in the here and now. My pastor, he's focused on delivering the message of God. So he knows some great songs, but does it really matter to him as much? Maybe not. Maybe it does. But your typical church person, I mean, they're looking to engage and just connect and worship. Looking for something that's fresh, yeah, that may be something in the back of their mind or in the forefront, but it doesn't mean that you as a worship leader need to stress out about, wow, what can we do? I like Ben's answer. It's more about how can we serve, not what can we do, but how can we serve and being where the church is going, right? That helps my planning. So I'll just kind of give you a little peek into what I do each week. The way that I order songs is I try to make sure, number one, like some of you said before, yeah, you can follow the message where the sermon is, absolutely. And I think that going by theme is good. I think trying to make everything matchy-matchy doesn't need to be so. I know we did that years ago, and it was a real important thing that, everything's got to match to the sermon. I think there needs to be some ebb and flow. I think that there needs to be some matching to it, absolutely. But it doesn't hurt if you throw in another hymn or another contemporary song that kind of around the edges, it can relate to the sermon, but it may not exactly say those words. I mean, for instance, your pastor is going to speak on finances and tithing, right? Well, there's not too many songs that, maybe you can write one about that. I don't know. But for me, I think about when it comes to, like, for instance, and that is a challenge for a lot of you, I know. What do you do about those kind of topics? Well, I try to break things down by, if we are talking about tithing or giving for the month, I talk about service. I want to sing about giving all to God. I also want to sing songs about community, because all of those subtopics do relate to the offering and what we give to God, what we bring to God, especially when you look at Romans 12, 1 and 2, right? Our bodies are living sacrifices unto God. So I try to pick songs that revolve around that. So when I hear a song, and let's say the pastor is talking about tithing for this coming Sunday, and I'm thinking about, well, how do I pick a great song, especially moving into this new year? Well, maybe go to some passages and texts of the Bible, not a bad idea, right? And relate maybe what your pastor is going to be saying. And taking things like, if you look up tithe, do some cross-referencing. I mean, you may be surprised. Many of you may not do this. You may do this already. I don't know. But I know that when I dive into the Word of God, I'm going to be saturated with a wealth of information of, looking at just one word, giving, or devoting, thankfulness, all those things. So I think about that in context. But what I'm also trying to think about as well is, as I zero in on, I try to pick, maybe to answer the question, how many songs do? I do about probably 2 songs a month. We introduce 2 new songs a month. And just depending on where the church is at that time, we may be in a season right now. I know that where we're at in our church presently, we have a lot of people that are going through still the job loss and things of health. And so for those people, they may not want something new right now, and there may not be anything new right now that can relate to their experience. So because we have a very fast, new and growing repertoire, I think we've increased about probably maybe 15 new songs that we've introduced since maybe last June or July. And 15 is a lot. That's a lot of new songs. It's a lot of new material, because the way we do it is we introduce it every other week, and we'll put it on the up front of the service, and then we'll keep it around for maybe 3 weeks max, and we'll move it around throughout the service. So it could be the second week, maybe the second song of the service, or maybe in the offering the next week. We'll take it out for another week, maybe to retire it just for a short time. We'll bring it back in, maybe use it for communion or the closing of the service, or maybe the opener again. And I try to keep a good rotation of songs of maybe 5 or 6 weeks. So I'm always bringing up something like one song that is, every 5 or 6 weeks. And I have that going on in my mind, but I'm also trying to wrap my head around, well, where is the Spirit of the Lord moving in the church? And what is he saying through the pastor? My next step, as I think biblically about what's happening, and also spiritually, of course, prayer is a huge key item. I also think about rehearsals. I think about what our band can accomplish. You may hear a great song, especially this happens a lot. Let me ask you, does this happen to you? You hear a great song on the radio, you take it to your band, and then all of a sudden it's like crickets. Either they love it, but they may not have the technology or instrumentation to pull it off. It could be a talent issue. It could be something else. Or even if you play that song, it doesn't quite come out the way it was when you first heard it on the air. Am I right? So what I try to do is I try to imagine what my team can accomplish from a vocal standpoint primarily, and then number two, from a band standpoint of providing that foundation. Very important, because you may hear a great guitar riff, or the intro of the song may have a really cool drum part, but if you have a drummer that is not capable of playing that complex rhythm or that pattern, I would not give that to them. You can do two things. Either the song is not right for your team, or you simplify the song. And we do that all the time. Like if this song is too, I can't say that about our drummer because he's extremely advanced. But I mean, there have been times where I've asked to play in a different time signature, and maybe it wasn't quite getting it. So I would just simplify what we do. I would just, for instance, to your drummer, your guitar player, whoever it may be, your piano player, just encourage them, hey, instead of playing all this part that you've heard on the MP3, maybe just play half of it. Maybe just play this one section only and lay out on the verses. Maybe come back in on the chorus. I mean, you're not going to hurt anybody's feelings. At least it shouldn't be the case, because what we do as a worship team should not be personal. It's serving the Lord, right? But you want to guide and you want to encourage people in the right way. So what I do is that if I know there's a complicated guitar part, we love the song, but maybe the guitar part is just not quite right for the players, then I'll just say, hey, you know what you're doing right now is great. How about we incorporate more of that on the chorus and lay out on the verses? Let's let the piano take it. Not a big deal. You're only going to clean up the line and make things better for your team. We do this all the time, and I let guys know right away, hey, this is just a stylistic issue, and we're trying to keep things clean for the vocal line. And that's it. It's not I don't like your playing, or it's not good enough. It's none of that. You have to be with your team. If you're with a bass player that maybe all they played is just these simple songs, and let's say, this is a great example, I don't know, maybe, but I've worked with bass players that were really in the traditional service, and we had to pull them over to the contemporary because they had to fill a spot. Well, I will let them know right away, hey, don't try to emulate everything you hear off of these practice tracks. Just stick to the basic route for right now. I mean, if you give them a guidance along the way, your team is going to respond. I mean, your singers, let them know, hey, don't worry at this point of harmonizing on every verse. Maybe just focus more on the centricity of the main vocal lead, getting the right rhythms, and also breathing and at the right phrases. If you give your team direction like that, it goes a long way, because then it lets them know, okay, hey, our worship leader's got a clue of where they're going. And that's really where you want your team to be. It's not coming in and you go through a new song, you show them, and now you want them to play it, and then you get frustrated because they can't do it. And that's something that your team doesn't really need to see anyway. So sorry if I'm going off on a tangent here, because there's a lot to talk about when we decide on new songs, and how do we do that? How do we accomplish it? By the way, Periscope, thanks for the hearts. John, thanks for that. Jason. Memorizing your music. When you're listening to new songs, you want to see what are the memorable moments of that new song. I remember like a great song when Great Are You, Lord, Sons and Daughters, when that first came out. It was like, wow, the song is so simple. It hits every great note. It's got a wonderful feel theologically. It's sound. It's got some great reminders of what God is doing in our church. And so when we sung the chorus and we played through it, it was easy. It was great. But best of all is that the chorus was simple. It wasn't complicated. There weren't too many melody lines. There weren't too many words. So what if you find a song that you like that maybe it's got too many words? Well, what you could do is you can artistically, you could remove some words. I don't know how that would affect the rest of the song. I typically wouldn't do that. But I would spend more time working on the song with your band before you reveal it to the congregation. That brings me to another point. When you're talking about memorizing music and you're talking about picking out new songs, my rule of thumb, what I do, I try to have our band and vocal team rehearse it for at least 3 rehearsals before we unveil it on Sunday. Now, if it's a really easy song, we can probably get by 2 weeks or maybe even 1 week. But if you look at our planning center, what I do is on our planning center order, I put all the new songs at the bottom. And at the bottom, they're like, we'll rehearse 3 new songs. And we'll do it towards the end of rehearsal. And what I do is I try to space them out and say, okay, let's say February, the first Sunday of February, we're going to do this song. The third week of February, we're going to do this song. And then it gives them a date. They're able to target for it. And then at least they have 3 weeks advance notice. Okay, at least. I try to plan out even further. So that way they're always listening to it. You know as well as I do, your worship team members, they're not always practicing. That's another issue, right? So how do you get them and motivate them to practice? Scott, what's up from GuideTracks.co joining us right now. We're just talking about you and talking about Great Are You, Lord. You can catch all those feature tracks also, by the way, guys, you listening and watching, go back to GuideTracks.co. I keep saying that because I love what they're doing. Awesome stuff. So when we are talking about memorizing music and how long should I prepare this with my team, you want to have a good rule of thumb of weeks ahead of time of preparation. Why? You're only going to stress out your team members if you say, okay, we're going to do this song this Sunday. Or even worse, you show up Sunday morning and you go, oh man, God inspired me and we're going to do this song today. Okay, well, God may have inspired you, and that's true, but did he also inspire everybody else in the room to do that with you? Because if not, you're asking for a huge stress ball to occur within your time together with your team. These are things that I learned long time ago when I started out leading worship, and they are things that I still do my best to remember each and every week, because if I don't, it's going to hit me from behind and it's going to hurt. So I'd rather be on the proactive side and to learn about the things of what not to do rather than try to, wing it. Holly, what's up? Holly Harris on Facebook Live. It's so good to see you, Holly. She says this: there are some topics that just don't have songs that will relate. Yeah, that's true. So what do you do there? Well, that's why I brought up about cross-referencing other verses, maybe. Holly, what's up? We got to catch up, by the way. So she also goes on to say, in the pre-service, they try to choose songs that will assist in preparing hearts for worship. If they're rushing, we want to help them regain their focus on Jesus. Great word. Awesome. Thank you for that, Holly. Yeah. Hello. And also, what was said here on Facebook Live, needs of the congregation and what is aligned with Scripture, readings, and sermon topic for the week. Yes, I think we're all in agreement for that. Elisa 1958, what's up on Periscope? A lot of great people coming in. Thanks, you guys, so much. And so we're talking about how do you choose great songs moving in 2017, and this is just part of them. So far we talked about picking great songs. Hold on. Sorry, guys. Scott says, good time to write a new song idea. DJ, what's going on? Checking in late. Happy to have this type of forum. Awesome. Thanks so much for joining us. DJ S83 on Periscope. So what I cover from the talk of this broadcast is why do we choose great songs, picking great songs, putting them in great order, having great rehearsals, memorizing your music. Now we're moving on. Work the great sound and media. Man, couldn't be more true. If your song is new to your worship team, you got to keep in mind it's going to be new to your audio and media. Don't just put them off to the side. Like I've said before many times, without our tech crew, we are nothing. And that is so true. So awesome job. Love you guys, sound engineers and tech leaders. You got to let them know what's happening within the lyrics, or if you're going to be using a special mic for the song, or let's say that song does have a particular drum pattern, let your sound engineer know, hey, this song is going to be more drum driven, or it's going to be more piano, guitar driven, whatever. So that way you're letting them know what's up. And yeah, absolutely, Scott. Thanks for that comment. Tony, what's up on Periscope? Good to see you, man. Tanya, what's up? Good to see you, Tanya, on Periscope. So the Song of the Redeemed. This is something Thanks, multitask, man. You're a blessing. The Song of the Redeemed. Now, this is a great responsibility, I think. When we're selecting songs, you have to keep in mind of how is your church singing them. I mean, it's one thing to select a cool song and go, you know what, this is great. I mean, I can play all the chords here. You know, I can get right through it, and that's great. But thanks, man. But is it right? Can I hear my church singing it? And that's one thing I love doing is when I'm listening to new songs, I want to imagine my church singing it. I want to imagine them following the words on the projection screen. I want to imagine the clarity of the audio being just right. If the song is too messy, if it's too muddy, or the church, even worse, you've heard this before too, they don't know when to come in, that kind of thing. Well, that does have a little bit of truth to it. I think a lot of truth to it. The more that we can simplify songs and the better that we can sing them as a whole, the easier it's going to be in leading your people in worship. That's period, And I learn that every week. Look out when you're leading worship, when you're doing that great new song. Look out and ask the question, is it really great? Is it a great song for our church? Are they singing? Or are they just doing this? Are they having their hands folded, arms folded? Or are they really engaging with the song? They may not at first because it's new and it takes people a little while to, stair-step your way deeper into that pool. I get that. But even on the first chorus or first verse, as you're doing it, it may be new to them. Do they look like they're getting it? Do they look like they're into it? Or are they just staring up at ceiling tiles? So, the Song of the Redeemed. Why do I say this? Because the choice affects the many people in your church multiplied. Start with selecting a song that is about, Aaron, what's up on Facebook Live? Good to see you, bro. Hey, what's up? You want to start with a song and even end the service with a song that proclaims about the gospel of Jesus, the story of God. I mean, many times we've opened up services with the contemporary version of How Great Thou Art. Our God Saves, there's so many of them. Some of the newer ones, 1,000 Tongues. That's a great, great new song. I love that. Came out last year, Vertical Church. I mean, if you got these songs, awesome. So now think about how your church will sing them. Think about that song being an anthem. And it's the Song of the Redeemed. In other words, the Song of the Redeemed means that as people are engaging worship and as they're singing it, they know what they're singing about because they know that they have been saved by Christ. It is a song that gravitates their soul right to the music, right to the message, most of all, right to the heart of God. And that's also typically called congregational song. I mean, when people are singing with one spirit, with one heart, with one voice, I mean, wow. So question real quick. Thanks so much, Facebook Live. Eduardo says, how often do you recommend incorporating new songs? And yes, like I said before, first of all, you need to go by your church. And I would have a healthy discussion with your pastor, or if you are on a worship team, with your worship leader, and ask them what they think is appropriate. Because I know you can pick 5 new songs and try to do them all in one Sunday, but if that's not the MO of your pastor or worship leader, you're going to have a hot handle. But I would ask them and find out what their frequency is. My rule of thumb, like I said before, is once every other week. I do a new song once every 2 weeks. And sometimes we won't even do that. Sometimes we'll let a third week go, and that's fine. It just depends on where the team is and where the church is and how many new songs have we've incorporated already. So, and typically I'll do that too. I found ourselves in that situation this past I think November, where we've introduced, I've mentioned already to you that we've introduced 15 new songs since last spring, okay? Since May or July, did I say? Anyway, the point was, when we went through October, I realized that we're doing almost a new song like every week, every other week, on top of another new song that was just released 2-4 weeks ago, whatever. And I found myself, like in November, I just said to the team, okay, let's not do any new songs until after Christmas, because already we have a great repertoire. And these 6 newest songs that we're doing, we like them. The church likes them a lot. Let's just keep that groove going. So I think the more that, it's kind of like the, if it's not broken, don't fix it theory really applies well. I mean, if the new songs in your church are working, don't add another one that may be too heavy for the congregation to keep up. And I know a lot of you may be saying, yeah, but they need to do better. They need to be in worship. Well, you know what? They are in worship and they are doing better just by them being there. Okay. So lighten up on your church. Don't be so hard on them to think, well, they're just not worshiping or they just don't like new music. That may not be the case. It could be a lot of other things too. So you want to give your people a service, meaning that it's not about the song even. It's not about you. It's about what you can do to better serve your people in worship. For instance, my pastor the other day just asked me the question, Brandon, what do you think if we went to an acoustic service like every 5th Sunday, the 5th Sundays that come out, every year? There's like 4 of them, right? And we had a meeting about that last night. And I thought, wow, that's an awesome way. And that's kind of, we've been talking about it, but now we're incorporating it. And I think it's a fresh new way, because when you do new songs, even that your church has heard the full band, but maybe now they've heard it in a different setting with just acoustic instruments or even 1 or 2 instruments, it almost sounds like a new song all over again, because you changed up the instrumentation, you've changed up who's playing, who's not playing, different sounds, different instruments, different voices even. And so I think it could be just as refreshing as finding a brand new song. So there's many different ways that you can do this to slice and dice it up, but that's the beauty about what God has given you and I in this whole capacity about leading worship, and the art behind it, the theology behind it, the prayer behind the Spirit of God moving through it. And there's so many awesome things. So a few new songs that I encourage you to look at. And I know there's newer songs out right now for 2017, but I'll just tell you what's been on our list that we've been working through, and one new song that we haven't done yet. Eduardo, thanks so much for liking us on Facebook Live. And by the way, if you guys are watching us by Periscope, Facebook Live, be sure to hit the follow button, like button, so that way you get every update when these videos go off once a week, Thursdays, 11 a.m. Central. All right. So the songs that I'm looking at right now that are still playing through, that are new from last year, Lion and the Lamb by Leland. I love the song when you look at the lyrics. Our God is the Lion of Judah. He's roaring with power and fighting our battles. Okay? Think about how many people in your church are right now fighting battles. Think about the people in your church right now that need God to be their lion in their life right now. It's a great, terrific anthem song to sing. Another one I mentioned earlier, Overwhelmed. Yeah, Overwhelmed. A great, favorite, old favorite. Great song. Thousand Tongues, Vertical Church. I mentioned that before. Another two songs that we haven't done yet, but they're on my list for 2017. My Victory, David Crowder. I love it. Thanks, Scott. What are your new songs? Found in You, Vertical Church. Yeah. Awesome. Let me hear from you, Periscope, Facebook Live. What are your new songs? I told you mine. One other one that we're going to be looking at is King of My Heart by John Mark McMillan. And by the way, next Thursday, I want to be doing some of these new songs as well, so don't miss the broadcast. So I'm asking you, real quick, just type in the comment window, what are your new songs for 2017? What new songs have you heard? Maybe you heard one that I mentioned today on the broadcast. Want to know what that is? So let us know what's up. Just type in the comment window. Tanya, what's going on? Thanks so much for that. So about to intro What a Beautiful Name, Hillsong. Oh, wow. Okay, so we got that to do for you guys. What a Beautiful Name by Hillsong. We're going to be doing that also coming up in the next few weeks. Amazing. I know. So Scott is the man. Eduardo says The Lion and the Lamb is really good. Yeah, I love that song. I mean, it's just simple to sing. What I love about that is you could put that song back to back with This Is Amazing Grace, All right, Crystal Renee says Consuming Fire from Cristopata Las Naciones, bilingual song. Wow, cool. Thanks for that. Bueno. And Joanne Gonzalez says, Love Came Down. Yeah, Love Came Down by Bethel. Christ for the Nations has a lot of great songs out there. Absolutely. You got it. Love that. Man, you guys are packing the songs today. Yeah, they do have amazing songs. Very good, sincere, authentic worship. Again, you want to make worship a win for everyone. This is your tech team, your audio, your musicians, your singers, and most of all, your church and your pastor. So, guys, thanks so much for checking us out today. Hey, be sure to check it next Thursday. I'm going to be going through the tune This We Know by Vertical Church, and also King of My Heart, John Mark McMillan. Those are two new songs that we're going to be coming up with. So be sure to check it on the broadcast next Thursday at 11 a.m. Be sure to go back on worshipteamtraining.com. Check out our workshops, check out our mentoring, and what we can do for you. Also, check out the free book that we're offering that we can give you right away. And we also have upcoming webinars and events coming very, very soon. I can't wait. And all that stuff will be coming out to you on the website. Also, you'll be looking at our e-news if you sign up for that as well. So Tanya says our church is diverse ethically, economically, and socially. Yeah, so one more time, the question, my husband and I are new worship pastors. Yeah, so you want to look at songs, again, that absolutely, they fit right where your people are. I mean, again, right where the church is. The better that you can do that, the better you're going to be where your people are at. So with that said, go back and read today's post because I talk a lot. Mark talks a lot, our contributing author for today. New worship leaders, check out guidetracks.co. Yes, and get it here at worshipteamtraining.com. Love you guys. Thanks so much for joining us today on our weekly show. We love you, and may God's blessings flow to you and your worship team. We'll see you guys back next Thursday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. Have a great day. Bye.
This has been a Worship Team Training broadcast and digital production with your host and training director, Brannon Dempsey. Worship Team Training provides live workshops and online resources to help inspire, create, and transform the leading of worship. We'll see you again right here on worshipteamtraining.com.